What is up, family, friends, and folks? Finngreen here, and I'm checking back in on a solo episode of the Green Street podcast. How we all doing out there? Hope everyone's doing well. Today, I am going to be discussing my first EP, Odds and Ends. Essentially just giving you guys the rundown, how it came together, how it was recorded, talking about everything from the song inspirations, the song titles, recording process, the album cover, the release, just giving you the whole rundown on this project, how it all came together. Yeah, so I'm excited to share with you guys what went into making Odds and Ends. I have this CD version of it right here. Let me know if anyone out there is interested in buying one of these. I still have a bunch, and it's actually a double EP CD with my EP Care Too Much on there as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. This EP came to be in large part due to my relationship with my roommate and good friend Dan Santos, because I had just moved back from Chicago in 2022 and was looking to pivot a little bit more towards my own original music and get some of my stuff recorded and start to put it out on Spotify and Apple and all the streaming services. My buddy Dan had done this. At the time, I was living upstate in Chatham with my parents. Dan was living here in Brooklyn already. And I figured I'd sort of seek his counsel as someone who had gone through the process already. And he also had his label, Chinatown Records, that he was trying to start to make some moves with. And he essentially offered the production services that he could provide from his label, Chinatown, for me to make this EP that I had envisioned. I called it Odds and Ends because it was sort of a bunch of little songs here and there that I'd recorded, ideas that I'd had, but not with any sort of connected theme. A theme sort of started to emerge as the songs all were recorded, but everything was just something, little tidbits here and there that I wanted to finish and make into full songs. So the recording process ended up being pretty scattered. We did the drums all at my parents' house on my drum set that I learned how to play on, the kit that I've had for my whole life. We set up some soundproofing with like some gray army blankets to make a little perimeter around the kit, very DIY. We put together a aggregate device so we could have more inputs by combining two audio interfaces. Yeah, it was very, very DIY, but I played the drums on all the songs. I just kind of burned through each one, got some good takes, and yeah, drums were done. We then built on top of that bass, guitar, both electric and acoustic, and then the vocals. Vocals were recorded in my closet at my parents' house in upstate New York. With some clothes hanging as the soundproofing for that, the booth. We got the guitar recorded on my own, and the bass as well. We reamped through Dan's guitar amp and bass amp. At the time, Dan was living in Bed-Stuy, kind of right off Broadway, and the J train ran right outside his window. So when we did this reamping process in his room, we had to wait in between trains to record and get the sound coming out of the amps, the raw tracks out through the amps. But yeah, so that was a funny little quirk there, is that we had to get those takes in between J trains. So that was the process. Then we did the mixing, and we got it mastered by a good friend from Chicago, Alex Bielski. Very, very talented guy. I'll put his info somewhere here. If you're looking for mixing, mastering services, also, if you're looking to see a super dope progressive metal band, then his band is totally killing it. So all that info will be right over here. Then we had the EP complete and ready to rock. The artwork was completed by my sister and her boyfriends, Iona Green and Charlie Smith. Actually, it came together while we were on a trip to England visiting my grandparents. We were in Newcastle, and the picture on the cover, which I'll put up on the screen as well. So the picture is a combination of a street picture in New York City, a picture of me on the street in Newcastle in Forest Hall, which is the suburb where my grandparents live, and a picture of a street in Forest Hall as well. All three of those images kind of like superimposed on each other, faded in together. So it sort of creates this kind of like otherworldly image. Big shout out to Iona and Charlie, who did the Photoshop work on that and made it come together. Dan also advised me, which I really appreciated, the power of not having a title on the cover, which some of my recent projects I've done the title on the cover, but I think that it can be a really nice subtlety of not having the title, the artist name, just having the image and having that speak for itself. So big shout out to Iona and Charlie for the album art. So then Odds and Ends was released at midnight on February 18th of 2023. And I had officially made my debut on streaming services, and the finngreen as an artist journey had begun. So that was a big moment for me, and I'd set up a release show at my local pub in Chatham, New York, which is where, as a kid, I basically learned how to perform. We played the release show. Dan came up, he played bass. My friend Wells, good friend Wells, who's an awesome guitarist, Wells played lead guitar, and I played rhythm and acoustic. And then a buddy, Sean, filled in on drums. Sean Carty, big shout out to him. I'd met him just doing open mics, and he was down to play the release show, which was really sweet. And yeah, it was really great. Had some family and friends in the house, which was a very special experience for me. And to get to do it at the pub where I had begun my musical journey in many ways was very special. So now I'm gonna finish by doing a quick track-by-track analysis for you guys. Talking about each of the tracks, how it came together, kind of the stories behind it, the inspirations behind it. So number one, track one, Pretty Baby. I wrote this song sort of inspired by a trip I took to New York City in the winter of 2022. I went down to see my good friend Ben. It was the depths of the lockdowns. The city was in a very weird spot, not its normal, thriving, bustling self. And it was also the middle of the winter. It was very cold and dreary. And the urge to stay inside, just kind of shelter away from the world, was very strong. So that particular visit, we kind of spent most of our time just hanging out, watching videos on TV, and relaxing in an apartment in the East Village where he was staying at the time. And yeah, the song kind of came together of, even though it was me and a friend, sort of taking that same vibe, that same sort of like desire to just kick around, stay inside, relax on a snowy day. I kind of took that inspiration, shifted it more towards the romantic storytelling side of thing of like, it's a relationship. And Pretty Baby was formed. That's how the song came to be. I'm really proud of it. It's a song that I enjoy to listen to this day. I really like how it came out. And I play it typically when I do originals in my own sets, and it's a fun one to bust out. And then track two, My Mind, has quite a story behind it. So in the summer of 2021, I was living in Chicago. I was unfortunately still dealing with the chronic pain disorder that has impacted my life since age 20. But despite this, I'd managed to put together quite an enjoyable life for myself at this juncture in time. I was living in Chicago. I was working at a restaurant called the Lonesome Rose on California Avenue in Logan Square-ish area. I was dating this girl who lived right nearby at a shared sublet house, and she had a lot of really cool friends who we would hang out with over there. And it was a wonderful summer, really, really, lovely experience. One of my favorite summers to reflect on. As the summer was winding up, my ex was going to be moving to Paris at the end of the summer to pursue her master's degree at the Sorbonne. And she had said that she would love to write a song with me. It was just something she was interested in doing and that she, wanted to try. So me and Reese Fisher, shout out to her, we sat down together and we wrote this song. She had some lyrics. It sort of had to do with our relationship, our time together. I helped kind of punch up the lyrics. I wrote the chords, and we had a nice day just like sitting in a cafe on the north side of Chicago by the lake shore, just working on the song, coming together with the ideas. We actually recorded it with her singing. And that was kind of the demo version that, we could have and listen to, and the finished product at that time. But then when I went to put together the EP, when I went to put together Odds and Ends, I loved the song and I felt it was really meaningful to finish it and to rewrite the lyrics a little bit, kind of tweak things, to be more reflective on our relationship that had passed. We broke up once she moved to Paris. I decided to make it one of the cuts on the album. Re-recorded all the guitars, bass, just, the whole song was revamped, obviously. And I did have some little tidbits in there, some lyric changes that reflected the current status of where we were at. And then the song Selfless by The Strokes was a favorite song of hers at that time. And the riff at the end of My Mind is actually me playing the riff from Selfless by The Strokes. Just as a little, message to her. It's like she knows what that is. But yeah, so that song is very representative of that time in my life and that relationship, which is now past, but me and Reese are on good terms, and I'm happy for her. She's been living in Paris for many years now. So that is My Mind. So track 3, I Want to Go Home. This song came together very, very much in the same spirit of Odds and Ends, something that I sort of had lying around that I wanted to bring to fruition. It was a song that I had the chord progression mapped out for a while, and I ended up actually playing it for my friends from Chicago in the band The Hustle as a potential song that maybe they could take and run with and make their own. And I remember playing it for them at our rehearsal space in Treehouse Studios, which is out on the kind of far northwest side of Chicago, where we had a space at the time. And the guys liked it, but it was, my friend Andrew, the keyboard and rhythm guitar player in that band, he suggested that I just keep it for my own, that it was a cool song and I should run with it myself. Tommy Hines, the guitarist of The Hustle, who is now the guitarist of the band Your Mom, who are doing great things out there. Definitely check them out. Love their music. Really, really proud to see everything that they're doing. It's amazing. But Tommy had played a bunch of just kind of like free-flowing guitar licks, just kind of looped the chord progression, and he did his thing. And a lot of those licks I kind of interpolated my own for the solo that's on the final cut of I Want to Go Home. I love the kind of little synth melody that I added on there. That was like a kind of catchy thing that I felt worked really well with the chord progression. So yeah, big shout out to Tommy for contributing, what became a lot of the guitar solo on that. He's a huge guitar inspiration for me. When I was in college and became friends with Andrew, I started to go to The Hustle and see their gigs, and Tommy's just a beast, an absolute beast. And I haven't actually gotten a chance to see Your Mom live since he joined the band, so whenever that opportunity comes along, very, very hyped for that. So the theme of I Want to Go Home is obviously kind of yearning for my home region of upstate New York, Western Massachusetts, Columbia County, Berkshire County. That's really where I'm from. That's the place that means the most to me. That sentiment just kind of came out very heavy in my thinking and then into my songwriting as I was living in Chicago, really feeling the oppressive nature of the concrete jungle at that time. And it wasn't like I could get away. I mean, I live in New York City now, and I can just take the train upstate on a very consistent basis very easily. But being in Chicago, I was definitely much more removed, and I didn't really know anyone outside of the city. So I was kind of just in Chicago proper all the time. And Chicago is massive. It's all flat. It's just city as far as the eye can see, massive expanse of urbanization. And so I really was kind of yearning for what I knew, the mountains and the trees and the water. That's where the themes of the song came to be. So last but certainly not least, the song Only God Can Know. This song is a pretty heavy song for me because it is each verse details my experience with the death of someone that I knew, an acquaintance or a friend or someone who was a part of my world. So those 5 people are Owen Sweeney, Big John Castillo, Jose Riojas, Adam Teeters, and Brittany Kinlow. And within about a 4-year period, all of these people passed away. In every case, tragically and young. None of these deaths were older people passing from natural causes. This was all tragedy, unfortunately. So Owen, the first verse, Owen was someone that I went to school with at Buxton. And he took his own life, unfortunately, in the fall of 2018. I remember hearing the news while I was in my freshman year at college. I graduated the spring before, and just being so floored by the fact that could happen at the school that I had been at, and just it's such a small school, so I know how deeply that trauma probably affected everyone there. Owen was certainly a complicated person, but I remember so vividly being around him. On my birthday, spring of my senior year, Owen ran a little soda store in the dorm where you could buy a can of whatever soda he bought wholesale at the dollar store. He gave me an orange Fanta on my birthday. To this day, you know, I think back on a little thing like that, and I didn't know him super well on a personal level, but it was a very meaningful thing in retrospect, and it's tragic and very, very sad that he passed away and that he took his own life. But may he rest in peace, and love to his family, his friends, the people who miss him. Second verse is about a friend of a friend, sort of, Big John, who was a barber in the neighborhood where I lived in my first off-campus apartment in Chicago. So my friend Moon, my roommate, she started working at this barber shop, helping sweep up, and just became ingrained in the community. It's called Razor Reds on the west side of Chicago in Tri-Taylor. It's where some Chicago Bulls players get their haircuts. So it's a very well-respected business that is just legendary, really, in Chicago. So Moon and Big John, who's one of the main barbers there, became very, very close friends. They were always hanging out, always out and about together, going to comic book conventions and watching TV shows, and they were thick as thieves, just so close with each other. Tragically, in the summer of 2020, Big John was shot and killed on the west side of Chicago. Chicago has a big issue with gun violence, as we all know, and being, you know, personally experiencing that, someone I knew, someone who'd been in my apartment, someone who I'd had conversations with. I had a conversation with him days before he died. It was really, really scarring and upsetting to experience that. So that is the second verse. Rest in peace to Big John. Again, you know, love goes out to his family, to everyone who's missing him to this day. Third verse is the wind ensemble director and, you know, huge part of the music program at UIC, the college I attended in Chicago, Jose Riojas, who was just truly an amazing man, someone who contributed above and beyond to all the students and encouraged everyone to be better and have fun and enjoy playing music at school. He was someone who was an advisor to so many students who had a real loving relationship with him as a person who was there for them beyond just being a faculty member and a music director. He was a great man. We had a sort of final epic concert right before all the COVID lockdowns in March of 2020, and it was very, very heavy emotional time for everyone. He was our fearless leader for this last gig, and unfortunately he passed away a few months after that, very suddenly from medical conditions. And I know he is very, very dearly missed by many. That verse is dedicated to him. So the fourth verse, like I said, it's a heavy song. It's you know, people that are all missed and who are all amazing people who contributed a lot to this world, and you know, I wish that they were still around, but unfortunately God works in mysterious ways. The fourth verse is about my friend Adam Teeters, who I knew from a Quaker youth weekend camp thing called Powell House that I went to as a kid. Me and Adam became friends because we were both into metal at the time, specifically like deathcore. We bonded over like Chelsea Grin. It was a band we both particularly liked. And we started getting together, hanging out to play that kind of music. I was playing drums, he was playing guitar, and we were doing, you know, the breakdowns and classic deathcore sound. And we didn't hang out all that much, but we just stayed in touch and followed him on Instagram. He started getting really into rap. He kind of had like a bit of a switch over to that genre, started making rap very in the vein of like Juice World, Lil Peep, Mac Miller, kind of like emo trap sound. And he did it really well. He had some great tunes that I still listen to this day. But I sort of knew him from afar, just checking in on Instagram here and there, supporting what he did musically. We actually had discussed maybe making some music together whenever I was back upstate. It never came through, unfortunately, and he passed away from an overdose in 2021 and in the winter, or in the early spring, which was devastating to so many people. He was a great guy, and not seeing him be able to grow and change into the man that he could have been is tragic. It truly is. So may Adam rest in peace, and love goes out to his family and his friends and everyone who misses him. And that fourth verse is for Adam Teeters. Fifth verse is for Brittany Kinlow, who's a friend from UIC, who passed very tragically, was murdered, like Big John as well, from gun violence. She was about to graduate college in about a week. So her death was just devastating in every sense of the word, devastating, to her entire community, to her classmates, to, of course, her family, to everyone who she had touched and impacted. She was an amazing singer and just an amazing person. So warm and kind and caring and fun to be around. She was just so much fun. And I didn't know her super well, but she was around a lot my sophomore year of college, kind of became friends with all of my friends. And I'd see her as my theory class was switching over to the next theory class. Often, she'd be in the group coming in and out, and started to know who she was and see her around more and more. And we actually made a song together at one point. We had a little session and we ended up making a song together, which was very special. I was not in Chicago at the time of her passing, so I was somewhat lucky to be removed from the grief that my friends and schoolmates were going through when she was killed. But I felt very deeply for all of them and for her family, the tragedy of the loss. I want to obviously dedicate my love once again to her family and her friends and community and everyone who misses her. And that is that song. I mean, it's a doozy. It's a massive processing of a lot of emotional stuff. And none of these deaths were anyone who was like very, very close to me in a personal way, but it's all people who were a part of my world and who were significant. And losing all of them did affect me quite a bit, and I felt called to speak on that and factor that into my music. So I'm glad that I made this song. It's not one that many people listen to. When I see the streaming numbers on Spotify and Apple, it's usually my least listened to song. But funnily enough, my friend Shannon, who went to Buxton and was very close to Owen, who the first verse is about, my friend Shannon, we reconnected and rekindled a friendship that's been wonderful and very, very meaningful. All really because of this song. She heard this song and realized what the first verse was about, and it was like the catalyst of her reaching out to me, me joining her band, The Troop, and us just bonding and becoming friends again. And I'm so grateful for her and her boyfriend Hunter and all the people who make up their little musical universe up in upstate New York. So even though the song doesn't get that much love, as far as the numbers go, it's been extremely meaningful to me because of things like that and because of that understanding of what it's about and connecting with the people who are grieving those people that I wrote the song about. So in conclusion, that is the spiel. That's everything that went into my EP, Odds and Ends. And I'd love if people were to watch this video and feel inspired to go and re-listen. And if you've listened to it already, absorb some different things with all this information that I've just shared. And if it's your first time listening, then you know way more about it going in than you may have in the past if you hadn't seen this explanation of everything. Feel free to comment your favorite song, your favorite moments, your favorite sounds that you hear. If you go ahead and listen and reach out to me personally, that would be great. I'd love to hear people's reactions. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Shout out to the family, friends, and folks out there. I have been Finn Green talking about my EP, Odds and Ends, and I'm going to sign off. Salute.